bed 90% of the time too. I just love it. I love it too.
You know what? I wish I could wear it too. But I want to say good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming out this morning to another amazing episode of Sales Chatter. We got a jam-packed episode for you. Let's get started.
Let's go.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
You know, we had white gold here this morning. I don't know if you guys
No kidding.
And that's not like a plane doing a drop off and losing a bag of cocaine over my house.
How it sounds like.
Yeah. We're talking about real white gold falling from the sky. Yeah, I mean it's gone now, but I was outside letting the dogs out. I was like, oh yeah, here we go. I mean, I'm nowhere even ready, boys, but I'm still.
I saw Indiana got 3 inches the other day.
Yeah, up in Kearney and stuff up north, and they got snow already too. I mean, most of it won't stay because the permafrost isn't in the ground yet, but.
You had frost here the other day.
Yeah, guys, why you guys got to bring down the mood? You know, like Halloween's next week.
That's bringing up the mood, brother.
No. I'm against snow, man. That's my ancestors. We stayed inside the sun, you know. So we're not about that. I just want to say, good morning, Lisa. Nice to see you out here, number one spot. Always good to see you, Jenny. Always amazing to see you.
You know, I have to say, because I was MIA, as you guys know, for 2.5 months, I think.
You were
probably pretty close to that.
Yeah, maybe more.
And Lisa's still on top from literally Jan 1 when DJ and I decided to go live every day. Her and Jeff were always competing for that top spot, and she's still up there. You know, we're talking 10 months later. So bang on, good for you, man. That's awesome.
A good supporter. She really is a good supporter every day.
Supporter. And for people who don't know, she's out on the West Coast, right? So it's like 6 o'clock their time, right? Like I'm still snoring, you know. So
if I had to bet, she's doing yoga right now.
Oh, 100%. She's probably done like a million different things already. That
eating a granola bar.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we just rolled out of bed and just hit record.
So I'll talk about it a little bit more on wins and losses. But you just said eating a granola bar. I had my first chocolate chip cookie yesterday.
Get out.
My God. I can't even describe how good it was. It was so yummy. I have not had, so I'm starting to be able to eat. So I went soups. I got soups in me, gummies, and we had it, Chips Ahoy, soft Chips Ahoy, and I'm staring at it. I'm like, what's worse that can happen? I can choke. My wife will have to give me the Heimlich to get a piece of chocolate chip cookie out of my throat. Okay, we're good. And I ate it. And oh my God, as I'm chewing, and I still my muscles in my jaw still have not healed totally. So I'm trying to smile and chew at the same time. I got chocolate dripping up the side of my face. The best thing ever, man. I gotta tell you, I was like, I think I was texting everyone. I just had a cookie.
Yeah, you gotta put 2 of those bad boys in the microwave and put a scoop of ice cream. Chef's kiss,
buddy.
Man.
It's like the first time you have a chocolate chip cookie and you dip it in milk as a kid, man.
Now you guys are just gonna make it better. I want to have one after. So of course, I went to the grocery store last night and I'm buying toaster strudels. I'm like, I can eat those in the morning. I think if I don't toast them too much. And So listen, Ryan. Part of what I was thinking to talk about today is how we tend to not put enough concentration on things we do, and it tends to go to the wayside, right? Until you can't do it. And I haven't been able to eat in close to 60, 65, 70 days.
Wow.
So yeah, if you're eating liquid for 65, 70 days, and then somebody says, here's a steak, that thing can be one of those thin ones that that is all
gristle.
Gristle, and I'd be like, oh my God, this is the best steak that I ever had in my life. It reminded me of Eddie Murphy, where he's like, if you starving and somebody throw you a crack, you're gonna be like, God damn, that's my crack I haven't had in my life, man. They're like, what is that, saltine? Is that saltine crack? Right? So it's just we take so much for granted until we can't do it.
Truth.
Anyways, that was I wanted to share that this morning because, man, that Chips Ahoy cookie was the best cookie on the planet. Let me tell
I was
you.
gonna tell you, like, before you came on camera, like, I did see some crumbs on your cheeks, you know. So,
Yeah.
like, Dan, you gotta clean up for the show, man. You gotta get.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Boys,
A few of my buddies were texting back to Cookie Monster when the GIF Cookie Monster where he's throwing all the cookies in his mouth and they're going everywhere. But hey, you know what? I've said for the last couple of weeks now, I'm going to really enjoy gaining back my 27 pounds I lost.
yeah, you're bulking, and this is the perfect season of bulk, right? So you're doing it for your health benefits, right?
Kidding me?
Well, I also need it for snowmobiling, right? Because if I'm going to throw a 700-pound sled around, I better get a little beef behind me because otherwise it's going to throw me around all winter.
Oh yeah. Put a seatbelt on. Put a seatbelt on.
Yeah.
Boys,
I saw something. So back to goal setting.
Yeah, exactly. I saw something last night that it really piqued my interest, and I'm actually going to share my screen and kind of give you guys a little bit of a story of exactly what that is. So, I pulled this up. This is from Kelsey Plum. She is a WNBA player. She's WNBA champion. She actually became the champion on October 1st. She's a forward. As you guys can see here, I don't know if everybody can see here, like she wrote down all these goals on May 26th. As you can see, she wrote down things of what she needs to do and things she wants to accomplish. So think about this. May 6th, she wants to be an all-star, all WNBA player. That's basically one of the top players in your league, WNBA champion and world champion, so Olympics from there. What I really enjoyed about seeing was that she actually accomplished all this, and the one thing that she did was that she stuck to it, right? She wrote down everything that she needed to do, and then she repeated this to herself. And I believe in manifestation. I know that Lisa believes in that as well. My question to you guys is, how often do you guys look at your goals? I know some people write them down daily. There's different studies all about that stuff, right? But what is your mindset on goals?
Jeff, do you want to go first?
Sure. Just real quick. I always think differently, so. My philosophy.
Get out of here. That is so not right.
I know I'm lying. But seriously, the way I look at things is that if you need to write down things every day to remind yourself, then you're not set on your goals. That should be embedded up here. Every single day, you should have those goals and objectives that need to be met ingrained in your daily activities for the day, the week, the month, the year. If you constantly have to write down that as a reminder, then something's missing. At least the way I look at things, it's like getting a tattoo. The tattoo's on you and you can't get rid of it. It's there and it's going to stick with you for the rest of your life, unless you get laser treatment and you get it taken off. But it's the same thing up here. You have to doubly embed that in your mind of the goals and objectives that you need to do and create every day to have a successful business, personal life, family life, friendships, whatever it might be. This is the things that you need to do. And you need to stamp that in your head, not on a piece of paper that can easily be torn apart and thrown away. Yes, you're always rebuilding them and you're increasing those goals and objectives as you meet them, but it should always be ingrained in your head. That's my view.
Okay, and then actually, Lisa actually comes with a nice rebuttal here for you. How do you get them ingrained?
You talk to yourself and you tell yourself every morning what you need to do, where you need to be, how you're going to get there, and when. Every day you wake up. I mean, every day I wake up with a smile on my face. My positivity level is this high. I don't doubt what I do. I can't let that overcome myself or anybody else that I do business with. I transfer that positivity in the people that I talk to. So that's the way that I do it, Lisa. I mean, everybody has their own way of doing it, but I just feel that if you have to write them down, then you have to always remind yourself, stay on the path, stay on the path, stay on the path. Well, no, stay on the path and don't, go off on a tangent or something. You've got it up here, follow it, and follow it closely every single day.
I disagree with it. I like it. I think if you have that ability to keep it in your head and continue that fire, that momentum, Godspeed. Godspeed. I mean, I know from all the research I've done, from all the, gurus in the industry, they're all talking about writing them down every day creates more power for them. Thinking about them, like we were talking off air about Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey, when he first started acting, he says, "I want to make $10 million," and he put a big check of $10 million on his ceiling. And every time he went to bed, he'd stare at it. Every time he woke up, he'd see it, and he had a date on it. And that date came true when he did Ace Ventura. And there's a ton of other ones. I mean, a lot of them. Keanu Reeves kept the check in his wallet, and just kept pulling it out and looking at it and kind of that kind of thing. I'm a big write it down, because when I write it down, I feel it becomes reality to me. When I have a thought in my head, if it doesn't get to paper, it's just a passing thought. And for me, when it comes to goal setting, I have, and as you guys were talking, I was writing things down, right? For me, it's important that I figure out exactly what I want.
Yeah.
But I figure out why I want it.
Yeah.
What is the nucleus behind that? And I have a 9-step way to figure out my why, right? And you ask yourself 9 questions, right? And then the big one for me is, what does my life look like after I have it? And for me, when I future cast that out, then I bring that fire right back to the beginning. And then what does my family's life look like after? Because we do a lot of things for our family. But I love that when you showed that, the first thing she had on there was, what do I need? Like, what do you need? Because all of us, I don't care who you are, if say you're here and you're doing 20 grand a month and your mission is $1 million a month, you need to skill and level up on so many different areas, whether it be how to deal with people, how to manage teams, how to close business faster, all these things. There's all these variables. We talked about Tom Brady on Tuesday. Tom Brady just doesn't know how to throw a football. He's a master of nutrition. He's a master of negotiation. He's a master of contracts. Like he's a master of his physiology. He's a master of all these different things in order to get him to the levels that he's at. I personally think when it comes to sales, as a salesperson, it's like, yeah, I want the $1 million. I want to be number one in the company. I want that prize. I want the President's Club trophy. I want my picture being taken, splashed all over LinkedIn and all the social networks, because I'm doing great. And that vision of that perception everybody has, because there's a lot of ego inside a sales rep. Let's call a spade a spade. So what I do is I sit down and I say, what do I need to do? What skills do I need to develop? What education do I need to get me there? And I literally draw out a timeline. And every day I look at the timeline. I say, okay, I'm here. And by the end of the month, I want to be here. So I set interim goals inside the bigger picture of goals. And that's how I do it. That's, for me, it's that visual. I'm a visual person. I've got whiteboards all over the place where I got drawings and doodles and stuff like that, because ultimately I want to get to my mountain. And I know for a fact, if I find a Sherpa, they'll get me there faster.
Yeah. So
how can you shortcut some of these things? In our new company, in the development of the product, of the software we're developing, it's like we're enlisting people that have been there, right? I'm talking to people that have built SaaS companies. Okay, what are some of the shortcomings? Like, what are some of the things we're going to hit? Because I've always been a big believer of the G.I. Joe theory. Knowing is half the battle. So if you know you're going to be coming up to this mountain, you can prepare for it, right? It's like anything on when runners, any kind of competition. You look at like the 600-meter run or whatever it is, or the 4 or 5 laps. Everyone has a strategy, and they use their energy at a certain point, and then they like launch their energy. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. You've seen basketball players. You've seen hockey players that have so much more talent than they use. And then all of a sudden in the final, like 20 seconds, they dance through everybody and win the game, right? It's just what it is. So for me, that's the way I look at goals. I ask myself the first 4 questions and the next 3 questions. And those will determine what I want, where I am, and what I need to learn in between.
It's awesome to think about. Even for me, like as you guys know, I've said on the show, like I'm doing 75 hard, which is basically 6 tasks I got to do every single day. I know exactly what the tasks are, but there's an app, and I actually have it written down on my whiteboard as well. And I'm a big person in visualizing, just like Dan, as you kind of said, like, what would it do for my family? Because like for me, in my like, you guys can all agree to this, like, at first it was like, okay, I was just doing it for myself, right? I was just trying to make more money, have nicer things and things like that. But then I feel like as I kind of started to climb up the mountain a little bit, it's like, okay, well, I want to help out other people. Like what ways can I do? Like dog rescues is a big one for me, helping out my family and things like that. So I think like with looking at goals, it's two ways, right? Because I agree with what Jeff kind of says, like, like you should know it ingrained, but it's like we all know that maybe we shouldn't eat that extra chocolate bar. But we still do it anyways for that like 2 to 4 second pleasure of it, right? So it's about staying on track. And Lisa brings up a great thing that I've actually learned from her in terms of what she kind of does in terms of affirmations. She does affirmations that aligns with her goals, the way that she does it. She gets an image into her brain and helps her with prey drive. I love that she says that because we say prey drive a lot with dogs, like small prey drive, like squirrels and things like that. And you could have a completely trained dog and you take them outside. Once they see a squirrel, it's off to the races, right? Sitting down AM and PM, reading through the affirmations and visualizing helps her a lot as well. And then as well, she's just coming back to Dan's point, saying here, what do I need? What do I need to become? And how do I get what I need? Jeff, I wanted to ask you, so like you have them ingrained because we all kind of face these setbacks as well. How do you handle when, let's say, one of these goals have not been met?
We'll discuss it. I mean, like I said earlier, I talked to my partner because he's definitely on the same wavelength as myself. So as we discuss many times during the day, even though he's in Florida and I'm up here, we converse probably 6-7 times a day.
He didn't get hit with any of the hurricanes that a while back in Florida, right? He was okay?
Oh, yeah. He was up in St. Augustine, so he was good. He was on the Atlantic side. Thanks for asking. So we talk about, hey, what are you working on today? And we go over that. How's it going? What kind of problems you're having? You having any issues or whatever? And then we start brainstorming and like, okay, you know what? That didn't work the last time. Let's try this way. And then this way we'll get the inside and we'll talk to whomever that person may be and et cetera. And we do that multiple times during the day. And at the end of the day, hey, we're able to do it. Okay, what happened? So we're always doing that every single day. I'm a firm believer is that, in the corporate world, you have a meeting on Monday. Okay, here's the goals and objectives that need to be met this week. We're going to, John, you do this and Bill, so forth and so on. Okay. At the end of the week, okay, guys, let's have a recap. Come on in. We'll have at 1:00. Hey, how did you guys do? Where are you at? You see, I don't believe in waiting until those meetings at the end of the week to discuss. If problems come up, you address them right then and there on the day, on the minute that it happened. You don't push them up and gather all those problems and then discuss it among your peers and then say, what do you think or anything? No, you don't. You've lost all that time. You have to address it and take care of that in that moment if you're going to be successful and move faster than your competitors. You can't wait for that kind of stuff. So that's basically what I do on a daily basis, every single day. And even on the weekend, sometimes we chat on Saturdays. Sundays are sacred, so we don't really do much on a Sunday, but Monday through Saturday, we chat, and we chat every single day.
What are you, Ryan?
So when I don't hit my goals, I think the first thing is that I got to kind of, just like we're going with why, right? We got to figure out why didn't I hit those goals? And when I kind of mention goals, like I do have like professional goals and I do have personal goals for myself, right? And they're all based on action habit. And let's call it spade a spade. If I didn't hit my goals, that means I didn't take action enough, right? So it's basically going back to like going back to like the
or
start,
did you take enough action? Your goal, you probably shortcutted where you would be.
I would think so. Like it's a situation where like, hey, and I think shortcuts for me, it's like looking at them. Okay, a shortcut is at the end of the day, I'm kind of battling me versus me at the end of the day, right? Like if I'm going to make a goal, it's me versus me when I look at those things. So I think when I kind of take a shortcut and I make a mistake, it's like just to kind of, okay, well, I went through this and hey, it didn't happen the way that I expected it to happen. But it is kind of like going back and forth. But Dan, I think your camera is off. Okay, he's coming back on. Just kind of put it there as with Jeff. But like coming back to it, Jeff, like in terms of like for you kind of getting back, like you said, you talk to your partner Monday through Saturday. You have your daily goals, your monthly goals, your yearly goals. Other than kind of going from there, no problem. So I kind of see that from there. What are you kind of looking at before we kind of let you go here in terms of, hey, what is your partner's goals that you're always kind of looking to? Like how often are you listening to their goals as opposed to yours as well?
Yeah, by all means, you have to be a very good listener than a talker on that, because I may have many needs. He has just as many or even more than I do. So that's how, like-minded people like ourselves and what we believe in on a positivity level. That's what I looked for in a partner, so that we're on the same page. So he kind of reads my mind and I read his mind, and we're on the same page. And then when he runs into a problem, he'll come and actually, reach out to me and ask me for my opinion. Now, here's the thing about this, right? He has his own niches. I have my own. So I rely on him in certain areas and he relies on me. Okay. We don't pretend to say we do something when we don't. Oh, you know what? Listen, you're going to have to talk to my partner. He's the guy that handles all of that. Boom, like that. Don't take it upon yourself. So on those goals and objectives, he does the same thing on his side. So it's like a fine-tuned machine every single day, like I said. 4 times minimal, maybe up to 7 times. We're always on the phone when a good thing happens and a bad thing happens or whatever. We're right on that phone and we're conversing. We don't wait at all on that kind of stuff. So it works out. It works out fantastic. You have to have those type of relationships in order to move your goals and objectives, further out or in that day and get them accomplished.
So for me, when I don't hit marks that yeah, buddy, take care, Jeff. Good luck. When I don't hit marks that I set for myself, I sit down and I explore. The first thing I explore is, did I put enough action towards what I was doing? Did I level up to the level that I needed in order to get that done in the timeline? If those answers are yes, then I just realized I chose the wrong timeline. Especially if some of your goals equate to other people's timelines, which most goals do, right? Yeah. How many times have you said, I'm going to close this deal on this date, and something happens on the customer's end, and the timeline has to be extended? We were just in it where we were in a deal. We're negotiating the deal, and we were looking at closing a certain piece of the business, and the one of the main guys in it was just decided he was leaving the company. So the goal, instead of the initial goal of, okay, let's nurture this and build it, and over time, the goal is, in the next 2 weeks, I want you guys in here to do some stuff. So when I leave, you're in the build, you're in already. So that's a very different goal than the original goal. And in trying to get it done, we didn't necessarily get it done to that point. We got on a project instead. We're rocking the project, but it didn't happen the way we wanted it to happen. So that goal is still there.
Yeah.
It's been kicked back down to here. Now from here, we got to build another bridge to bridge the gap to get up to that mountaintop. But what the beautiful thing is because that happened, it's now given us another opportunity to build a bridge over here to get to 2 mountaintops. Because what he said is, when I get over there, I'm going to find out how these projects are going. And if you do good, you're coming over with me. So that's also, very important for us to understand. Sometimes when that perception of the goal going wrong, it's not wrong. It's just moving you in a different direction. Like think of it like this. If you're leaving Miami, Florida, and you're trying to go to Vancouver, BC, right, on a map, straight line. If you move your steering wheel 1/4 of an inch, you'll end up nowhere near your destination.
Yeah. We actually talked about that a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think we pay enough attention to the intention towards our goals. So I I choose to put it in front of myself every day where I can't miss it. But choice by choice, I get closer to or further from my goals. It's the first thing I see when I look at my computer. Second thing I see, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. So it's like, okay, Dan, is this the road I'm supposed to be on? And then when I have challenges because, this customer says this, or this prospect says this, or I read something online that says this, I teach and empower logistics sales reps how to build and grow a multi-million-dollar book of business so they can design the life and career they love and cherish. So I don't care about all that.
Yeah.
I don't care about all that. That stuff is bullshit. My mission is to empower logistics sales reps to design the life and career they love and cherish. Because I'll tell you something, this industry beat the fuck out of me for years. And I just thought that's the way it goes. And you see it all the time. Posts, 24/7 thing. It's not. Like when you get your stuff together properly and you do things right, the last 5 years, 6 years of my career, when I finally figured it out, I didn't pick my phone up at night. I came home at 5 o'clock, plugged my phone in my office, and I woke up in the morning, 2 emails. And both of them are like, dude, what's going on, man? We getting together this weekend? Like it can be to that point. It's not, it's not, like a lot of the people advertise it to be, you need a phone and a laptop. You can make millions. Yes, you can. But it's like, there's about 100 different steps between those two. And consistency is one of the big ones. So I have that. How do you on track? Well, you set intentions. I personally, if I'm here and 3 months later, I want to be here, I'm breaking that down 4 or 5 times in that 3 months. And I'm saying to myself, if I want this goal, again, 50% of the way, I want to be 75% towards my goal. So I always, and that math works back, and that math always works. And that's what I do. Is this interaction getting me closer to or further from my goal? Ryan, I don't know if you were on the Rico Rakoski show. Do this to yourself every day. Just do this. Any decision, just do this. Is this decision going to get me closer to or further from my goal? Every goal is climbing a mountaintop. Closer to, further from. Choice by choice. It's the only way to get there. That's Rico Rakoski at his finest, and it's true. And just when we do that, it changes. Everything changes. I mean, even to the point, and some people say, you know what, Dan, you're kind of a dick doing that. It's like I hear people at the water cooler when I was at my last company. And they're talking in there, oh my God, and this person did that, and oh my God, we did this at the club, and did it. And I just come in, I get my coffee, and I'm like, good morning, and I turn around and walk away. Because how does that conversation get me to my goal?
Yeah.
There's no intention for it. When the most productive people on the planet, like Oprah, Tony Robbins, all these people, Bob Proctor when he was alive, like all of these people that are so sought after, they're literally booking 1.5 years out. The first thing they say in every meeting, what is the intention? So I ask you, because I know probably for the 28 years, probably 21 of them, I never stopped on my way into a meeting and saying, what is the intention here? I always said, I'm going to go close the business.
Yeah.
And it hindered me a lot, because if I wasn't all the way through the fulfill stage on my sales cycle or my sales sequence, I'm skipping a beat. Instead of saying, okay, what's the intention here? Where am I at? The last conversation we had, did they say? Okay, you know what? They actually said, come in and show us what you want, what you are. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually take the first 80% of this, and we're going to show them what we do, how it will impact them. Not just our shiny equipment, how it will impact them, how it will change their way of doing business, how it will help them achieve their goals. And then the last 20 minutes, if I pass, and this is mentally you're saying this, if I pass this milestone, then I'm going in for the close. But I have to get to here. My intention is to get to here. Once I get to here, my next intention is to close the hell out of this mofo and make it happen. How does that sit with you, Ryan?
It's just well because it's like, okay, well, we always talk about it, right? Like you can set as much goals as you want, but goals without action is just a wish, right? Like it doesn't mean anything if you're not going to take action with it. And I think like even for me, my mindset, there's one thing you said just now that really resonated with me with the whole like 24/7 lifestyle. And I'll tell you this, Dan, my first company I worked with, we were a 9 to 5 brokerage and it worked. Guys were making over 200K GP a month in there. And that's why when I went over to different companies, they're like, oh no, it's 24/7. It's like, no. Like you set up the life that you wanna set up. And it's by me, I'm by habit. So getting 1% better every single day. I think intention too, when you have intention in your phone calls, in your emails, because like even for me, when I'm sending an email or phone call, I'm like, yeah. I'm gonna book a meeting and I'm gonna close them, before. But it's like maybe they're not ready. They're like where I'm at and where the customer at or the prospect at is two completely different things, right? So, like you said, I'm just building that ladder to get to that point. And yeah,
not only that, Ryan, he could have been right with you in the morning, and 10 minutes before your call, he got a call that has now shifted his route.
Exactly.
Right.
And then in our mindset, we don't know that, right? So we kind of be like, oh, screw this guy, screw this. Like, we don't want to work with this person because, like we believe in integrity and all these things. But, and I think that comes like, if something like that comes around, you got to kind of be honest and say, look, something came up. Let's kind of end it's on them to reschedule. But that's completely different. But it's for me, setting goals are just, it's important because I don't like to look at goals, and I'll ask you this question. I know you review them, but when is that day that you take a look at, like to look at your goals and kind of make some check marks? Because for me, I look at my birthday. My birthday is Christmas Day. Some people look at like January 1st, or they take off that week, the 2 weeks before the holidays, and kind of look at. But I look at my goals for my birthday. The reason is because, hey, I'm glad to be alive for another year, healthy, my family's around, everything like that. And those are big days for me. When is the actual time you're like, I'm making check marks on your goals?
Gosh, great question. When they come up from that day, I establish a timeline. And that's the victory day. I don't do a calendar year. I don't typically operate like that. When I obviously in corporate, when it came to a commission goal and a sales goal and everything, that was calendar year, and that was based on Q1 starting in January. But I don't put those parameters on anything. If I'm doing my best every day to get towards my goals, because like this has been my problem, why I started to become depressed, why I started to get very agitated with my family and friends, and why I had to go on medication, because I had no drive to create goals. And don't get me wrong, I understand my body's been through something so savage and so many like just, I don't know, whatever we can call it, through the radiation and chemo. But I'm a goal person. I'm a person that just like puts their head down and just plows through things to get to goals. And it was the most difficult part of all of this that I've been through, is saying, okay, I'm setting a goal. Okay, I'm booking meetings, and then I wake up in the morning, I can't talk.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's not going to happen today. And then I have all of these things, and finally, this is the reason I've been on all week, because over the weekend it took a turn. I'm back into my agenda. I'm back into watching what's happening and looking at the overall view. My calendar's starting to fill up behind me, and I just, this is the part where I think most people don't put enough attention.
Yeah.
It's like, let's make more phone calls. Well, what if we made half the phone calls with some pretty seriously focused intent on exactly what you want, and to the point where you write out 1, 2, 3, 4 things I want in this call. If I get 4, I'm going to move to 5. If you only get 2, your next call picks up at 3. See, and this is the power of intention that at this point, up until Bridger, has never been built into any CRM software. Because in my opinion, CRM software is shit. It does nothing for the salesperson to actually close business. And we'll have more on that in the future. But Intention is everything. 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 If you come home and you walk in the door after a busy day without setting an intention that you're going to be the best mother, best father, you're going to bring joy, love, energy. You walk in a subconscious, God damn it, I just spent this in traffic. These loads were failing on me. I've been there. Kids running, jumping, like, and my kids are 20, 23 and 21 now. They ain't running and jumping anymore. I barely get a out of them when I, and you miss those days when the kids have that landed spot picked out and like that launch pad picked out, and it's like, and I'm on my phone, and that hits them. You might not see it at first. It's like a hot air balloon, and you just poke a hole in it, but you poke enough holes in that hot air balloon. The first one, it's still vibrant, it's still shining, it's still beautiful. You poke enough holes, and it's not beautiful anymore. And this is one thing that everyone, I believe, in life needs to learn, is the power of intention. Like, even when any task, when you're sitting down to write an email, stop. What is my intention with this email? And write it. Okay, stop. I have a PowerPoint presentation to build. What is my intention with this presentation? What is my intention with each slide? What is the message I want to deliver? Why do I want to deliver that message? How is it going to help my customer? Right? All of it is intention. And if we don't operate our goals with intention, like that, the Olympic swimmer, like this was the big issue with the movie The Secret, is it's portrayed that if you just manifest it, you just think about it, and checks are going to show up in the mail. No, they're not. Like, if you just sit there in a beanbag chair eating Cheetos, the only way checks are showing up in the mail is if you have a sponsorship from Cheetos.
Or buy 600-pound life, so.
Or a 600-pound life, exactly. But I mean, and that's the big thing when it comes to intention, is when we lose intention, we actually start to dislike what we do. And if you go back to anything in life that's kind of tweaked at you, or you liked and you didn't like, it's because you lost the intention for the result in the end.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree with that, because it's like, hey, when we're looking at basically accomplishing our goals and kind of going back and forth, like, hey, maybe I didn't hit this deadline. And then it's so easy to spiral, like, as you kind of mentioned yourself, that, hey, I booked all these meetings, but I can't talk the next day. So you're like, okay, how do I basically spiral out of that feeling? And that's mindset. Maybe we'll talk about that, and attitudes and different things like that from a different aspect. But I think it's like important to have like small wins every single day towards your goals. Like, I like exactly what you said with the email. Like, my intention every time I send an email is, hey, I'm not Ryan from XY. I don't want them to even know who I am, to be honest. It's more about them. I want to make sure my introduction emails are literally 2 sentences. People are like, why would you send 2 sentences? But I make those 2 sentences impactful, and you kind of want to hook them as well when you're kind of talking to somebody. I'll hit them with 2 sentences, and then I'll always finish with opposed to learning more ? And it's like you're kind of throwing it back on them to be like, hey, they get all these emails, or they get all these calls, people introducing them. Our industry, we're all using really the same carriers, same trucks, same everything. It's like, be a resource and not a commodity, right? And that's one thing. But Dan, you mentioned before earlier that if you were to go from California to Vancouver, right, and you kind of switch position, when you were kind of mentioning that, I was thinking in my mindset that, you know what, maybe it's time for the DAT lane of the day.
That was a good transition, brother.
I will always take it out of them. So today's lane is going to be van out of Chicago, Illinois, to Charleston, West Virginia. Line haul RPM is looking at $2.75 a mile. With fuel, it's looking at $3.43 a mile. Contract rate, including fuel, is at $3.69 a mile. Year over year spot line haul RPM change has been minus $1.10. Comments are that there's been recent upward rate movement and load volume posting on this lane. The current rate is 30 cents higher than the September average. So I know Chicago Chicago's obviously been one of the big markets. We've seen a lot of RFPs with tons of volumes that kind of been going into there. So, hey, if you got
Chicago's one of the major hubs in North America, right? So
it's crazy to think about, right? I haven't been. Have you been to Chicago yet? I personally,
oh yeah,
I know you're a big Chicago Fire and MD and police and all that nonsense kind of fan, but it's awesome.
I think nonsense. That's good. Well, I mean, listen, the first couple of seasons are way better than now. Now it's too dorky and I like this person. I get so romantic and bullshit.
Yeah, my wife. I
want buildings on fire. I want firemen running in and out of the buildings. I want like some gang shootings and cool scenarios in PD and med. I'm just not really into it anymore.
Yeah, like I said, I walked in on my wife watching it this morning. She's a huge fan of that as well. But like coming back to it, I think like when intention and Dan, how long, like at what point in your career did you like realize that, hey, I need to have intention? And what does intention look like to you?
So I unfortunately realized way too late, because I was that salesperson that was like, oh, this is going to close. 6 months later, business didn't close. It's like, wow, man, like what's going on with me? And then later in my career, I went to a company. I got out of the business for a couple of months. I went speaking on stages, and then it was calling me, and I got back in, and I remember sitting with the owner, and he's like, "Wow, those are some pretty serious accolades. Like, your business is going to be here pretty quick." And I'm like, "Well, we'll see, probably." Brought a couple of clients in within a week, and they were messing it up, and they were like, I was bringing businesses and I was losing it faster than bringing it in, from an operations standpoint. And I remember it was my birthday, and I get a call from the owner saying, "Hey, come on in." And I said to my wife, I said, "They're gonna make me a cake. Like, they're gonna give me a cake. That's pretty cool. I haven't even been here a year, and they're gonna do a cake." I walked into a termination letter, and I was like, "What?" Like, yeah, we're terminating it. And I've never been fired from any job in my life, never mind a job where I was doing millions of dollars prior to coming to this company, right? And it took a lot of self-reflection, because I got home and I said, why? Like, and I'm going through, and of course you start with it's all them in your head scenario. And it came down to when I started having issues with operations. I just decided somehow that I'm not going in, and I'm just going to go through the motions, right? And that's it. Thinking I'd still get some business, but I didn't want to bring business to them because I didn't think they deserved it. But again, messed up thinking, because it's me trying to supply for my family, to be there for my family, right?
Yep.
And so my mindset was shattered, and at that point, I created a habit by doing it every single time. And how I did that was I put a sticky note right on top, literally covered pretty much all the applications on my computer. And every time I went to an application, it would say, "What is the intention?" And I'm like, okay, here's my goal. Here's where I am. I don't need to go on LinkedIn and scroll through the feed. That is not going to get me where I need to go.
Yeah.
And those stick-it notes, and then these on here, and then the signs on my walls, and the sayings on my thing. And I just surround myself with ways to get the head back in the game.
So just with coming with that is like, and that's what I like our viewers to kind of take attention to, is that you prime yourself. You didn't just wake up in the morning and go in like, okay, maybe I'll think this way. You put yourself in an environment where, hey, I'm gonna prime myself so that I get rid of all the distractions. And I think that's really important, because people who work
even
from
right
home,
down to my coffee mug.
See, like, like you've got to kind of, and that's what we kind of say, right? Like the law of attraction is like, you still have to put in work, and you got to surround yourself with like the people, the activities that you do, and the things to kind of push you forward, right? And Jeff and I were talking about this, but Jeff doesn't really use like TikTok or social media like I kind of do. But it's like, even for us, like the people like my age, it's that endless scrolling. They call it the scroll of doom, of just going on your social media and then like
app amnesia.
Sorry,
app amnesia,
right? And it's
you
like,
wake up 2 hours later and you're like, what have I done?
Like, Well, thank you. And then I read an article the other day, and it just said like one of the biggest mistakes we as a society come through is that we forgot how to be bored. Remember the days like, hey, we went to a doctor's office with our parents, and then like we're so bored. Like some kid, those toys, whatever they have, but they're all filled with germs. So your parents tell you not to touch them, and you're just there looking at the magazines of saying Young and the Restless or like Days of Our Lives. But we're there genuinely bored. But like now, it's like socially awkward. You go in there, you got your phones, you're pulling it out and things like that. And it's like we don't give ourselves times for our mind to think and just kind of be open. That's why a lot of us do meditation now. But we've had meditation our whole life. What do you think about it? Just having those times to yourself to understand. So just come back to your point of saying, like, you put yourself in an environment to be successful. You've got everything to kind of remind you, hey, if I get off track, let me just read one of my sticky notes and I'm back on track. So I think it's really important. Just prime your environment and then you'll set yourself up for success.
And here's a great question for all of you to ask yourself. Whatever you're doing, whether it be health, wealth, fitness,
spiritual,
cooking, spiritual, anything. Who needs me on my A game right now? Right? So think about that. If you need to get healthy, who needs you on your A game to become the healthiest version of yourself? That question alone can get you up in the morning. Like that question alone is a question that if you're lying in bed and you have to get up and walk around the block because your health, it matters. You say to yourself, who needs me on my A game today? Because we do a lot more for other people than we do for ourselves.
Yep. Yeah.
And if somebody needs you on your A game to be healthy, stay healthy, to live a vibrant life, a lot of the times for you parents, it's your kids. It's 2:00 in the afternoon, the sun's beating in your office and you're getting that 2:00. And you stop. It's okay. Who needs me on my A game this afternoon? Who needs me to make 10 more phone calls? Who needs me to, you know what I mean? Like, who needs me on this? Hey, let's go. And listen, we all know physiology and how we move creates energy. We all know we can go from the craziest, sleepiest, most tired to 1,000-pound watt energies coming out of us that would take the Energizer Bunny and blow them out of the sky. We all know. And if you don't think you have it, go into the room with your kids where they're all lazy and say, hey, you want to go to Disney World? They're through the roof. You want to go to Six Flags? You guys want to do something that they love? You want to go on vacation? Right? You ever see that?
You want to go for ice cream?
You ever notice that you can get 2 hours sleep on vacation and for 7 days you're fired up? It's everything in here that controls everything out here. So when I've asked the question, I've had afternoons, I'm like, brain's not working. It's like, okay, who needs me on my A game?
Yeah.
Okay, my wife, she needs me on my A game to finish this. Okay, and then when you ask yourself that and you hear your answer, and that answer drives right into your soul, everything you see changes. It morphs into opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like I got it in my banner, and I'm a big believer. It's like, the harder I work, the luckier I get, right? And I'm such a believer in that. Like I'm not really a big quote guy. I'm not a guy to write down quotes and things like that. But that's the one that I say to myself every single day. It's like action equals rewards, right? And there's something that you just reminded me here as you're kind of talking, and this is probably going to be the first Simpsons reference, but there's an episode of The Simpsons where Homer Simpson, he worked at the power plant, and there was
he's a great philosopher.
I know he's amazing. No, well, this is actually great. There was actually a poster that says, "Don't forget why you're here." And at the end of the episode, he filled that poster with pictures of his daughter Maggie, and it basically left, "Hey, do it for her," and that's how they kind of ended the episode. And it's like, it's things like that, like I've got pictures all around about me to kind of have that prime environment, and like we say, like, hey, who do you do it for, right? Who needs you to be on your A game? And it's not always going to be like your spouse or like your kids or anything like that, even though that's like automatic to you, right? It's going to be like, hey, maybe my community needs to be, and maybe if you're thinking spiritual, like maybe my God needs to be that way, or even the world, right? Like, think about it. There's so much people in the world, and all of us, we bring a benefit to make this world run, right? And it's like, okay, well, what do like I need to be on either for my company, for the world, for myself, for every different things like that. So I think it's really cool they kind of mentioned that, because since you've kind of said that to me, it's like, wow, like, it's been like a game changer. Like for me, I'm going to share something here that I've never really shared with anybody. So it's kind of a news break. But couple months ago, I was kind of like, I did some blood tests and things like that. And like my doctor was like, hey, you're kind of going into that pre-diabetic stage with your sugar high and things like that. And that scared the shit out of me, because like my family, they're all diabetics. And, that's the question I ask myself every day. Like, who needs me to be on my A game? My doctor does. I need to be. My wife does, because I don't want to follow that trend. And like you said, you got those two choices, right? Like, hey, I'm looking at a boring Greek salad for lunch, or can I get a burger for lunch? Which way do I go, right? And it's just those like little things. So I think
and type 2 is diet and exercise.
Yeah.
So it's getting out there, and you'll be able to eat the burger.
Yes, exactly.
Get out there and get done what you need to get done. Right. And it's, again, you go back to that. So here's the thing. At the bottom of the stairs at the company I used to work at, there was a sign that said, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah.
Right. Hard work, I think, in anything beats everything. And it's not easy. Right. It's hard work to get out of that pre-diabetic stage.
Yeah.
Hard work. It's hard work to recover from cancer and continue with the mindset and continue to build and continue to help and to continue to support. It's hard work. We have to dig down deep. And some days that digging is easier than others.
Yeah.
And some days it's the toughest thing you've ever done in your life. And just like sales, you go into the office on Monday and it's just no, get out of here, not interested, not interested. Tuesday, go, no, get out of here, not interested, not interested. Wednesday, not a single person. All you've done is spoken to voicemails and nobody's replied to your email. Thursday, not a single person. You've spoken to voicemails and you decided not to do emails. Friday comes. 5 days of pretty much being told you're a doorknob, I'm not interested. Our perception of it. Go home on the weekend, you're beat up.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you have to reset the intentions to come out Monday morning, killing it. And not only that, why? What were the reasons all of these prospects said no? What was it? I remember talking to a friend of mine, great salesperson, got headhunted from the company we were at to a smaller company. Now, the sell was, all the leads are open up to you. Like, you come from a company with 400, 500 salespeople that hoard 500, 600 sales leads. You come to a company with 4 salespeople, you're in a great position. But the flip side of that was, you're a new company. I don't know if I want to do business with a new company.
Yeah.
So the salesperson that was a great salesperson was not armed. They did not have the skills to answer that rebuttal in a way that moved the conversation forward. So I remember saying to him, what's the first thing you need to do? He goes, I don't know, Dan. He goes, I feel like I can't sell anymore. I go, if I were you, I'd get real intentional about the rebuttals and figure it out. And that's where my whole rebuttal theory came from, where I take a piece of paper and I draw 3 lines down. I have 4 sections. One is what I asked, their rebuttal, what I said. In the last section, every night for years, I sit down and I say, well, I said this. Shit, I could have said it better. I'm going to say it from here now. And I read it 100 times. You want a lesson in dedication? Read something 100 times.
Yeah,
it's a lesson. And then as I did that, I got better at the rebuttals. And now, again, this is not just, wham bam, we're done. Great, it's for life. We now have a new company running. We're launching a new company. Those rebuttals are going to be new. So I have to take my sales skills and move it all the way back to the beginning. I'm selling oranges. I've been selling apples for 37 years or 28 years. I'm selling oranges. And I got to learn that again. And I know that. And that's the exciting part, because I'm sitting there going, oh my God, okay, skills. I need to learn these skills. What are skills? I need to learn this lingo. I got all this. And I'm like overwhelmed by what I got to learn in a very good way.
Yep.
Right. And this, and again, based on where I am for my treatment and where I am physically, mentally, I've got about a 30 to 45-minute window where this works with focus.
And you're going to
it just drifts, and I have to take a break. Yeah, I just can't do it. I have to take a break. Like a lot of the times, I actually have to go take a nap.
Yeah.
And it might sound crazy to some, but if you've not been through it, you just don't understand it. The chemicals and the just toxins that are going through my body have ravaged every part of my body. And it's it's these small wins, like this week, being able to be on the show every day and still operate.
Yeah.
Whereas the couple of times before that, when I came on the show, and I wasn't saying very much, I would literally sleep for 7 hours after. That's how much energy it took out of me, just to sit here and like act like a bobblehead and just nod and bob in front of the camera. Like it's crazy. So, but 6 months ago, right, that intention piece, that goal piece, everything was way different.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of salespeople fall short, is we don't really sit down. And this is why I sit down with it every day. I look at my goals for today. When I woke up this morning, I looked at my goals and I said, okay. I said, I think I'm moving this to tomorrow.
Yeah.
I got about 4.5 hours sleep last night. Energy. I'm high energy. I want to bring energy to the show. I got a gap. Then I got a demo. I want to bring energy to that demo because I really want to see if this tool is going to help us and bring our company to the next level. I'm probably going to nap after that. So I moved a meeting to tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because I'm intentional about my day. I'm intentional about what my reality is that I can do. And why would I take up somebody's time when I'm sitting here staring at a camera, but I'm thinking about putting my head down on a pillow?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Like, and these are all things I do believe we have to think about, because every single person we call, and here's a very important part, our customers do business with us because we help them reach their goals.
Yeah.
That's great power. That's huge power as a salesperson, like huge power. And I believe if you're not that much further ahead of the game, you're doing a disservice to everyone around you, including your family, your life, and your career and ambitions. You really are. Like it's my personal opinion, which is why I'm on such a big mission to help 10,000 sales reps generate $1 million GP, because it's just these simple thought patterns, and it's not like it's a reworking. It's a restructuring of the mindset to go in and say, okay, do this. Always do this. If somebody says, hey, do you want to go do this? Just, yeah. And you can even just do this, but the visual, seeing it, says, is it getting me closer to or further from my goals? I'm not saying somebody asks you a question, you go, okay, hold on.
Yeah, like do the Joey cut it out.
Yeah, yeah. But it's like, okay, you just even your hand down here, right? Create a habit. Anytime somebody asks you a question to do something, just 2 fingers.
Yeah. And
immediately your index will be, is it closer to or further from my goal? Which way is it going to go? And that for me is gold. Rico's got these, I'll show you these, and he's also got these just 2 choices coins that I keep in my pocket. And one says just 2 choices, got a smile, and then one's got a sad face. And I literally put my hand in my pocket, and as soon as I touch that, it's another reminder. You got 2 choices here, Dan. Sure, you're not feeling very well, but can you get 30 minutes done? Bob Berg always said, Dan, one more call.
Yeah, just one more call.
When I thought my day was done, when I was at the brink of losing my mind, I'd make one more call.
Yeah, that's how we always kind of did it too.
Right? You get 300 and something calls a year, just making one more call. If your call to close ratio is 20 or 30, every 20 or 30 calls you close, and you do 300 more a year just by doing one more call a day, there you go. If each client is worth $5,000 a month, you just put what, 35 G's in your bottom line at the end of every month, making one more call a day.
Just one more. And I actually have that written down. Just one more call, one more email. Just do it.
So, and how many times a day do you do it?
I do it all the time. I think it's for me, it's something that's so ingrained, like it's something that I truly believe in. It's like, I do it every single day. Like, it's, I don't, you know what, I think with habits and like having your day structured a certain way, like I know every single, like you said, you got your to-do list and everything like that. Like I know what my day looks like, and it's kind of cool to kind of like venture a little bit off, especially with like making that additional call, like let's say wrap up your day at 5:00. Okay, well, it's 5:01. Screw it, I'm gonna go make one more call. I'm gonna make one more email. I'm gonna do one more post or something like that. And I think it's those little things that you get to enjoy. Like maybe we'll talk about this on another thing, but when you fall in love with the process, that's the best thing that you could do, right? And that comes with intention, right? Like, hey, I feel like even with customers and stuff like that, if you don't like what you do, it kind of like gives off that energy to everybody. Like they don't want to work with you. It's kind of that positivity factor as well. So I think it's amazing to like do that one more call, like go for it, because what's the worst that can happen? Like you said, you could land one of the biggest deals of your career. If not, you'll get a voicemail, and then hey, they'll grab that voicemail tomorrow when you call them again for your one more call, and then they pick up, right? So
and it starts to create something.
It's a loop,
that
right?
Wayne Dyer calls inspiration. And what this means is you have motivation and inspiration. Motivation is you physically pushing the goal forward. Inspiration is when your goal gets a hold of you. And what I mean by that, the two different processes, if this has ever happened to you. You get something in here. You're like, I'm going to go build it. And you'll be in a dead sleep. And your eyes will open at 2:30 in the morning, and you've got so much energy, and all you're thinking is, oh my God, that's a great idea. And you get up and you go and start working. Yeah. When you can sit down and work on your project, your side hustle, whatever it is. And 4 hours later, you look up and you're like, whoa, that's inspiration, not motivation. Inspiration is when your goal, your dreams, your desires, your ambition gets a hold of you. And that was one of the biggest lessons I learned from Wayne Dyer. God bless his soul. Because I could never understand why some things lasted, 2 months. And I was like, oh yeah. And then I just, I'm not interested anymore.
On to the next one. Yeah.
It was motivation. And then all of a sudden one thing, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, and you're carrying that through to fruition. And it's like, it was totally different, right? It was crazy. It was a total different experience. So they're out there, brother.
They're out there, man. So it's been awesome. I just want to tell everybody, make it your intention. You have two choices, make your intention to subscribe and watch us daily for us to bring some value into your life. I want to thank everybody for coming out this morning. Jeff had to leave early this morning, but tomorrow we'll be with Wins and Lessons. Please follow our replays at 12 and 3 p.m. on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook.
We're almost at the point, Ryan, where we can't say 9 to 9:30 anymore.
Hey, you know what? I don't even say that. I just say we start at 9 and then we kind of go as we kind of go, because at the end of the day,
the conversation take on a mind of its own.
Exactly. We're not coming on here. There's no scripts. There's no anything like that. We bring the highest quality.
Well, we got some pretty cool guests coming up. Like we got on Tuesday next week, we got a guy coming on that's got over 90 million in freight spend.
I don't think you should say that, because then his phone will get blown up.
What's that?
You should have said that, because then his phone will get blown up after Tuesday's call, after saying, "Hey, you got $90 million? Okay. Yeah, just give me $1 million."
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. We got it locked down. But 90 million in freight spend. Talk to you guys about what it takes and what things do you say to a guy that's running that kind of business? Like I could pick up and deliver on time, and these things are just like whatever. So we are looking to get back to the big educational piece, where Monday we talk about a sales strategy that can help you throughout the week. Tuesday we bring in a customer to talk about what's going on in their world and what are some of the things they're hearing, what turns them off, and then hopefully you're not saying those same things and you can adjust your sales pitch. Wednesday, obviously, the king of data, Mr. Dean Crook. On Thursdays, personal development, and Fridays are just let's shoot the shit and see what happens. And we have margaritas and whatever, and we're going from there. I think one Friday I actually drank a non-alcoholic beer at 9 a.m. But
All right,
That was fun.
okay. So your soul's living a little heavy over there. Well, now you're kind of like overloading on chocolate chip cookies now, so you could definitely bring
Oh,
some
buddy,
energy.
trust me, I will be. Yeah, I got if I could put so as unhealthy as it would be, if I can gain back 27 pounds with chocolate chip cookies, roti, and chicken nuggets, I'd be all over it.
God
All
bless
over.
your
And
parents, man.
I know it would be the worst because I'd have no energy, and then I'd have to take 6 months just to turn that into some kind of, for me, it's all up here.
Mm.
I'm just finding my muscle mass is just like disintegrating because I'm not doing
Well,
that's
you're not
the
eating.
stuff I used to do, right? I built my cabana out back, built my pool, so you're like lugging concrete and all that, and it's like once you stop, it's like this just right off the hill, So
Get there. Well, you know what?
TheraBand
We'll
starting
get,
this weekend, and go slow.
yeah, go slow, man. You'll get there. So, I'll thank everybody. Catch us on the replays. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Peace.
Centurion Trucking, our motto is people before profit. Today's market requires more transparency, consistency, and focus on what our clients need to win. Centurion Trucking and American Logistics are poised to help their clients achieve and surpass their targets. If you're looking for a team that honors your needs, dreams, and aspirations, then get a hold of Daman at American Logistics or Centurion Trucking and start designing your career today.